why do they love to do this? Just out of the blue. Bam, another war. They're in gold. Who knows where they are, but you got this big Goliath guy. He's 6 cubits tall.
Which is 9 feet, 9 inches, roughly 3 meters tall.
That's a pretty tall guy. Yeah. And he's a duelist. So he wants a Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton like duel standing out in the old on the old grounds there. And for those who saw Troy, where Brad Pitt meets the guy, and he just runs out there, this big old huge monstrosity of a man. Brad Pitt seems like the little David, because that's what it looks like. It's a story taken from an exact story that they're portraying here too.
I'll differ on you after your point's made.
Of just David, of him being a little bitty guy. This is the monster. The monster guy's supposed to win. He goes up and just kills him instantly. That's the same sort of scene of where the big guy wants to cause the fight, and David really wants the fight.
See, now I would have thought the same thing before I read this. But what the book actually says is this Goliath character says that there doesn't have to be any more bloodshed other than you, your champion, and me. If I lose, I will completely subjugate myself, and my army will fall on and be your slaves, or whatever you want. That's what he says. And he even leaves the opportunity open for 40 days and 40 nights. He leaves this on the table. No one has to die.
Nobody.
Now David comes out of the blue. Now this is where it gets really, really messed up, because Goliath thinks that they're going to have a good old-fashioned duel, one-on-one, no ranged weapons. It's going to be sword to sword, hand to hand, mano a mano. As Goliath is running up to the fight, David pulls a terrible underhanded move and brings a ranged weapon to the fight and hits him in the head with a ranged weapon. That's no difference than hitting him with a bow and arrow, bringing a gun to a knife fight. It's completely underhanded, dirty tactic. It is not fair. Goliath was not seeing that. He thought it was going to be a fair, I lose, my people give up, you lose, your people go home.
You're right. It was supposed to be a hand-to-hand combat, and David
cheats. He cheats. Then he takes and cuts off Goliath's head, holds it up for all to see, which is a demonic instance there. Then, after David wins, Goliath's people say, all right, we'll pack it up and go home. We lost fair and square. Our champion lost. And as they turn their backs and pack up camp, David says, oh, well, I didn't get my fill of bloodshed. Let's, as these people are retreating and their backs turned, let's go slaughter them wholesale. And slaughters them all the way until he can't kill anymore. Completely underhanded tactics. There is nothing in this story that is good or wholesome or shows any kind of hero. That is the most dastardly villain in basically the whole book. Because he thought that he was Goliath thought that he was gonna get a one-on-one fight, be fair, save lives, and be the really nice, good person. How do we see in Western civilization as David being the good guy in this book? Goliath was by far the good guy.
By far. Yes. Well, Mr. Schmidt, I think that this goes back to what we've been talking about as young children growing up. David being the underdog. He's the nice guy. He's a figure of piety. And, he may be a little nervous going into the fight, and he's just, has God on his side, and he feels so warm and fuzzy that, or the people telling it to us as kids make us want to feel warm and fuzzy by the story. But the story, as we found out with all these other stories, are a totally misrepresentation of what the Bible actually says.
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought that up and made that point. David wasn't nervous at all.
No.
He was quite willing to go to war. He wasn't stepping up for his people or to save anything. He just wanted bloodshed.
He wanted to go to war. He was really good at a ranged weapon, which is the little slingshot thing. He was good at killing stuff with it. He knew he didn't need to go to hand combat with David. He knew he could walk right up at him and pull it out and whack. He's done.
Yeah.
And if he missed or something went awry, he didn't have to walk over there to him. He had 3 more or 5 stones in his pocket. It's just a farce. It's a huge fallacy that this whole image has been perpetrated again onto the population because it's a lie.
It is a lie, and it's so bad and upsetting to me personally that I've always thought Michelangelo's David was the most magnificent piece of artwork, sculpture, for sure in my eyes, one of the greatest of all time. And I look on it now with disdain. It really upsets me to think of the image of David. It really upsets me. And what's even more upsetting to me is if you look at the dimensions of David, he is almost as tall as Goliath would have been.
Oh, it's perfect height of him.
Goliath, I mean, yeah.
It's so strange that, being fans of the Renaissance as we are, and the birth of art forms and thinking and letting the man be free in his mind and learn knowledge of everything he can. These were learned, smart guys. I mean, they knew what they were doing. And to learn this story the way it is really written, and for them to spend so much time and effort to make the masterpiece of David is really disheartening, because that means they were just the biggest forms of propagandists and just continued to perpetrate the nonsense onto the masses so they could continue to control over them.
Well, they really didn't have much of a choice.
Well, no, they didn't, because of the banker to the Pope. But we're getting off on a whole different tangent with that.
But to bring it back on topic, I was really disappointed, really disappointed in this story. I thought, this is a story I know, this is a story that everybody knows, a story we all love, and this is how it's not how it goes down.